We're going to work on the topic of graphing with intercepts and then extend our time to working on parallel and perpendicular line equations. And so graphing with intercepts is going to help us to focus on two important points on a line. The first point would be the x-intercept. This is the point where the line crosses the x-axis, and those ordered pairs will always be the x-intercept and then a 0 in for the y. So to find that x-intercept, you can substitute 0 where the y is in the equation and solve for x. Then we also have the y-intercept. Now, you've talked about the y-intercept already when we worked on our slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b. The y-intercept is the b. But another idea about the y-intercept is that it's a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. And the ordered pair for the y-intercept will always be 0 and whatever that y-intercept is. And so another way to find the y-intercept would be to substitute 0 for the x in your equation and solve that equation for y. We'll be looking at two examples where you will need to find the y-intercept and the x-intercept, and then you'll be asked to graph those lines using the intercepts. And so I'll start with 6x minus 8y equals 24, and I'll be working on the x-intercept first. I'm just going to abbreviate like this. We'll replace the y with a 0. 6x minus 8, and then I'll replace the y with a 0, and then equals 24. The 8 times 0 is 0. I don't need that. I have 6x equals 24. And I can divide both sides by 6, giving me x equals 4. And so my x-intercept is the ordered pair 4, 0. And I could go ahead and plot that as a point on my graph. I'll move on this same problem to find the y-intercept. For the y-intercept, we put a 0 where the x was. So 6 times 0, and then minus 8y will equal 24. So the 6 times 0 is 0, but I do need the negative along with the 8. So negative 8y equals 24. Dividing both sides by negative 8 gives me y equals negative 3. And that is my y-intercept. I want to write that in the blank. 0, negative 3. And then I want to plot that point. It's on the y-axis. And then you'll be asked to draw a line that connects both the x and the y-intercept. So I'm going to try to carefully draw through both of those points. And if you're doing this online, you can hopefully use a line tool. If you're doing it on paper, hopefully you have a straight edge that you can use. So there's your first example, and you have the x and y-intercept found and graphed. On your second example, again, we will start with the x-intercept, replacing the y with a 0. So 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 18. Again, you don't need the 2 times 0 because that's just 0. So we have 3x equals 18. Divide both sides by 3, and we end up with x equals 6. And that makes your x-intercept 6, 0. We do want to write this as an ordered pair. So ordered pair 6, 0. We'll move on to find the y-intercept. When you do the y-intercept, you replace the x with a 0. So 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 18. 3 times 0 is 0. We can drop that term out. We have 2y equals 18. We can divide both sides by 2 and have y equals 9. Ordered pair would be 0, 9. And now we can plot those 2 points, 0, 9 on the y-axis. On the x-axis, 6, 0. And then using hopefully a straight edge, you want to connect those 2 ordered pairs. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries when you're doing this freehand. So connect your 2 ordered pairs, and that would be the equation of the line. And notice that my lines, when I draw them by hand, they do have arrows on them. Now at the bottom of question 2, it asks you to write your answer in function notation. And so that I can leave the graph on there, I'm going to do my work for writing it in function notation here. You can solve the equation for y, starting with 3x plus 2y equals 18. We can subtract 3x to both sides, leaving us with 2y equals negative 3x plus 18. You would then need to divide each term by 2. And then instead of writing y equals, this is where the function notation will come into play. They'll ask you to write it f of x equals. In fact, the f of x will already be there for you, and you would just need to write this side of the equation, which would be negative 3 over 2x plus 9. So down at the bottom of this notes page, it says to write in function notation. That's what you would put. F of x equals negative 3x, negative 3 over 2x plus 9. I also want to show you on Math Excel how you would graph using these intercepts. So I'll have to erase my writing so that you can see the problem that I have up here on the screen. Let me get my writing erased. And the problem that is on the screen for me is 2x plus y equals 6. So I've done some work, and I know that my x-intercept is 3, 0. So I'm ready to graph this. I can either select this symbol to click to enlarge the graph, or I can select this. This is my favorite. I like to have it make the graph bigger. And that gives me some tools down at the bottom. One of the tools is a line tool. I'm going to select that. Now remember that this is a different problem from what was on your notes page. So mine is 2x plus y equals 6. I've done some work. I know that the x-intercept is 3, 0. So I've selected the line tool. I'm over here at 3, 0. I click a point. And then once I move away, I notice that it's giving me a line, and I've just got to anchor that with one more point. So I've calculated my y-intercept and it is 0, 6. So I will click on 0, 6 as my other anchor. Notice that the line turns yellow. It's letting you look. And I have 3, 0 and 0, 6. Now, if you are not confident that you have that correct, I do want to tell you about these two keys. And unfortunately, on lines, um, there's not much difference, but maybe I can describe it to you. If you just want to start completely over, you would hit reset. That'll take everything off the graph and you can just regraph it. If you just have one thing that is not in the correct place, it would be highlighted. Now, here I have everything highlighted. I have this point, and I have this point, and I might be able to just select that one point. Let's say I didn't like that one. I could select that one point, hit delete, and I would say, yes, I know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, it took the whole line away. But in other types of graphs or in shading, you can select just one item, and delete will just take that one item away. So I deleted it all. It's no big deal. I just have to regraph. So I'm going to go back to my line tool. I'll select 3, 0, and then go to 0, 6, select that. I feel confident that I have it. I'm going to check my answer, and it says I got it right. Well done. Yippee. And I'm on to my next problem. So good luck to you on this part of your assignment, which will be the first 4 problems.